Here it is. Please, Nicola.
Okay, thank you very much, Afonso, and thank you very much to all the people who are participating. Also, I know some of the attending people, as you said, Afonso, before. And yeah, I'm happy to be here to share with you the experience of Open the Box. Open the Box is a digital media, data and AI literacy program that we have tested in Italy in the last 4 years. And now we are also moving in working with other countries. So we are trying to localize some of our resources with other partners around Europe. I will go with the presentation. Here it is. It's okay. Open the Box is a program by Data Ninja. Data Ninja is an Italian company working on data literacy programs for professionals, companies. And in 2020, we decided to launch a new division of our company, more focused on the educational sector, in particular working with teachers and educators. The problem we started from was the lack of digital skills among both teachers and students. There are a lot of data on the lack of digital skills among students. There are less data on teachers, but still we can say from our experience, from the data we have collected in these years, that also among teachers and educators, there is a huge educational gap, especially on the topics of, for example, source verification, data literacy, or basic artificial intelligence literacy. The goal of the project is to improve media, data, and AI literacy skills among teachers and educators. The approach that we have adopted is what has been named multi-literacies, so not just focusing on data literacy or AI literacy or media literacy. We think that we need to implement something that puts everything in connection. And actually, from our experience, there are a lot of connections between, for example, media literacy. If you work, for example, on disinformation, you can do some more media literacy training, but also you can find disinformation in data, so you can have also data literacy, and above all, on artificial intelligence and generative AI. That is the main topic we are going to discuss today here. And so in 2020, we launched this platform that is Open the Box. At the time was the first digital platform integrating media data and AI literacy. We have done this in a progressive way. We started with media literacy in 2020-21, then data literacy the second year, and then the third year we introduced also AI literacy. And usually we do this by testing and testing all the resources that we do. We test them with teachers and educators. For example, I'm happy to see here today that we have also Pietro Blu, that was one of the first teachers actually testing the Open the Box resources. The main target is 11, 18 years old. So we have worked with what in Italy we call the scuola media, middle school, and scuola superiore, that is high school. And starting from next year, we are going to work also in primary schools through another interesting program, a new program that we are launching for the next school year. And everything we do in Open the Box is compliant with the DCOMP 2.2 framework, especially for we really enjoyed the last version of DCOMP because it introduced a lot of new novelties about disinformation, data, and AI that are at the core of Open the Box. Our starting point for the initiative that we do usually are educators or teachers. This is because from the beginning, we wanted to define a scalable approach for spreading media, data, and AI literacy. I'm sure that most of you know that there are a lot of media literacy initiatives all around Europe and the world. And most of these initiatives have been proven to be very effective in, for example, for fighting disinformation or for making teachers more eager to teach in their own classrooms in this changing landscape. But we know that the most difficult part for media literacy interventions usually is the scalability part. So how can you make things go faster and so not in a slow way? And so we decided to do this by building an alliance with the teachers and the educators, because we believe that teachers and educators now, they play a very, very relevant role. There are a lot of people saying that we live in a society where there are not any more mediators. Everything is disintermediated, so there are no middle figures that let young people filter the reality they live in, and especially the digital reality. While we believe that this role now is what educators and teachers, they do. They actually every day, they have to mediate the reality young people live in, that is more often also a digital reality. And they very often don't have the skills, don't have the tools, don't have the materials to do this in a proper way. So our approach was, in search of scalability, we decided to push on this cascade program. So we train the teachers, and then the teachers in turn will reach the students. And actually, it's a training of trainers approach. And in the first 4 years, we have reached a community of more than 8,000 teachers. I will show you later how we engage with teachers and educators, where we find them, how we target them, and how we invite them to be part of our community. These teachers, the main goal of our program is to make teachers and educators able to do by themselves, so without our help, a media, data, or AI workshop or activity in their own educational context. And in these 4 years, these teachers have completed more than 2,000 workshops by themselves, so without us, so reaching more than 70,000 students. How works OpenBox? First, the methodologies that are at the core of OpenBox are the inquiry-based learning. So in all the activities that we propose to teachers and to students, they have to discover something. There is a sort of investigative role that they have to play. That can be, for example, to uncover if content is true or false, but also how, for example, a data visualization could be made better, or how you can better do searches or other content queries on generative AI tools. Then we have adopted the pre-banking methodology. I'm sure most of you have already heard about this methodology. Actually, it's a methodology that has been comes from the psychology, and but still we think it's very relevant also for media literacy interventions. It's the opposite of debunking. Debunking is a synonym of fact-checking. So you first find something that you don't know if it's true or not, and you have some tools, some processes that you can put for assessing if a content is true or not. So the debunking usually happens after you have met a piece of content, and there are a lot of studies that are trying to figure out how much is effective the debunking, while the pre-banking is the opposite of debunking. So before people meet any kind of controversial content, any kind of manipulative content, for example, they are already made aware of what are the manipulation techniques? What are the ways that people who wants to persuade you or to manipulate you will find? So it's a sort of vaccine, a psychological vaccine, through which you can make people more conscious about, for example, disinformation or manipulation or whatever they will find in while they will be online. And we think that this approach is very, very good, especially for our media literacy data and AI literacy approach. And then the last methodology is the flipped classroom, because all the training that we do is done in a blended environment. So usually teachers and educators find some resources that they can study by themselves, so on just on demand, let's say. And then there are also some live sessions, so through which we go more into the methodology and how they should do the same in the classroom, for example. The three main pillars of Open the Box, so are first, we have the training and capacity building of educators and teachers. Then we share with them some educational kits that they can use for doing the workshops or the activities in the classroom. And then we have, every year, we have a challenge. That is a challenge that teachers promote in their classroom among their students. And so students participate to this final challenge with the students from all over Italy or Europe, when we work also in Europe. The first part, so, is the training and capacity building. We offer to teachers and educators these blended learning paths on media data and AI literacy. There are some activities that are asynchronous with the video lectures, activities, and exercises. And then very important is the live workshop part, because during the live workshop, we show them how they should use the kits and the materials that we give to them. And actually what we do is that we simulate a lesson in the classroom. So we flip the roles. So the teachers act like students and we from Open Box act like teachers. And so we show them step by step how they should run a workshop by themselves in their own context. And then we have also these one-to-one mentorship sessions. We offer to the teachers and educators the possibility to book a call with us. And a lot of teachers usually want to do this, especially if they need to, for example, to adapt our content to a specific subject, or they want to change something because they are already working on a project. And so during these one-to-one mentorship sessions, we help them define how they could do better, how they could adapt better our materials. Then we give them these educational kits that are available online, and we have a fixed format that highlighting a lot the engagement part. So making the teachers able to engage their students in a proper way to make they more interested in participating. And usually there are some ice-breaking activities that are interactive activities for engaging the students. Then there are presentations, but also group activities. The core actually of the workshop are these group activities that students have to do. And then at the end, there is a final assessment. And so the teachers, they find everything ready-made in our platform. And this is something they find very useful because they don't need to go from, I don't know, from a website to another one. But still, all these resources are very flexible, so they can adapt and they can change things, they can add what they want. We try to do this because we knew from the beginning that this flexibility is very important for teachers and educators. Then at the end, there are these engagement part for the students and the teachers. So we invite all the students that have done some activities with the teachers to join our challenge. And every year we change the topic of the challenge. The first year was on fact checking, so on debunking disinformation content found online. The second year was about meme generation, so creating memes, but creating memes in a critical way. So for example, for pushing some particular talking points or some particular for example, for activism or stuff like this. And then this year we did the prompt generation challenge that was about creating learning activities with generative AI tools. If you want later, I can show you some of the works that have been done by the teachers and the students with, for example, generative AI tools and methodologies in their own classroom. By the way, you can find all the entries of this year on our website in the challenge menu. And then you will find also the details. Unfortunately, for now, everything is only in Italian, but we are working also on an English version of this. This one, why was the meme generation challenge that we did 2 years ago. Here you can see a Padlet where the teachers and students, they share the memes that they created in real time. The topics that we cover, we have three main paths, as I said before. The first one is on media literacy. We have a strong focus on disinformation and fact-checking because most of us at Open the Box have a journalism background. So we have worked a lot on this topic of fact-checking and mitigating disinformation. And so there are 4 different lessons on the basics of fact-checking, on disinformation, on visual content, manipulated visual content like pictures or videos, and also on meme culture, because we think that this one, for example, is one of the most popular, the meme culture module for teachers. Then there is another learning path on data literacy. So we have an introduction to living in a datafied society, so in this world of data. And then we go more into how you can find, analyze, and visualize properly data. And all of this it's just literacy, so it's at a very, very basic level. You don't need to use spreadsheets, for example. You don't need to use Excel or Google Sheets for doing these activities. You can also do with Post-its or something that you can build also physically in your classroom. In the data literacy path, we work a lot also on data physicalization because it's easier for teachers to do these activities in the classrooms. And then we have launched also this AI literacy learning path that is about actually the basics of artificial intelligence. And then it's very, very focused on generative AI, both on textual, so on chatbots, textual generative AI, and on visual generative AI, on synthetic media. In this case, we go mostly through the main topics of AI. It's not technical, but more about, for example, the ethic sides or how you properly use, like, I don't know, generative AI tools, how to design a good prompt, and how to interact, how to have conversation with the chatbots or the synthetic AI tools. And we work a lot also with the teachers. We have these learning cafes that actually are meetings that we usually do every month with our community. And during this learning cafe, usually we pick a topic, and usually we ask to teachers and educators which topic you would like to discuss more about. And from some of this learning cafe, we also get some new learning resources. So during this learning cafe, we co-design with the teachers and educators. For example, we discuss with them about conspiracy thinking, video games, conflicts in social media, or AI was one of the most demanded topic last year. And then it's not just a discussion, we also start to think how we could bring these topics in the classroom, how we could build an educational experience for the students, and then we prepare some educational resources that they can reuse. We measure everything that we do. You can see here where Open Box teachers are. You can see all around Italy, with most of them in the north, because there are more teachers actually in the Lombardy region. And then we work mainly with middle schools, but also high schools, more or less the same. And we are cross-subject. We try to explain to our teachers that what we do is not just about data, it's not just about mathematics or informatics, but we are cross-subject because what we do can be applied in every subject. And you can see here, actually, most of our teachers are from the human sciences, but also sciences and social or arts. And so it's a very good mix. And we measure how the ability of the teachers are before and after our training. Here you can see the ability to evaluate a source online. Before the training, only 6% of them were able to do this in a proper way. After the training, more than the 50%. And the same with doctorate images or with, for example, identifying the primary source of data or recognizing a misleading data source or a misleading data. I want to share with you also the way we work. So what is our process, how we intercept the teachers and the educators, and how we engage them, and how we work with them. And from the beginning, we decide to have not a top-down approach. So we don't go, for example, through the principals or through the Minister of Education. Actually, we decide to start from the teachers, from the educators. So what we do usually is a digital campaign, and this campaign can be on Data Ninja channels, because we already had some teachers and educators in our Data Ninja community. And but mainly we do actually campaigns on social media. So we do paid advertisement targeting teachers and on specific topics with specific campaigns. And by this way, you can reach a lot of teachers. Then we invite teachers to join us, and so to become member of our community. We offer them some free resources that they can use. So this is the call to action that we do with them. So if you want to have this lesson plan, or if you want to have this presentation, you need to sign up. And you can see here more than 7,000 are now part of our are member of our platform. And then we engage them through live workshops, learning cafe, newsletter, and more than the half of the teachers are very active in different ways. So teachers who read our newsletters, for example, some of them use also our newsletter in the classroom. They say yes, so they teach and they read what we send them also to the students. But then we have the live workshops during the training and the learning cafe. And then we invite them to do some more in-depth training through our platform. And you can see here in these 4 years, we have trained more than 2,000 teachers and educators. And we usually offer free training. You can, if you want, you can buy the training on our platform, but most of them have access to this training paths through some, I don't know, other, for example, now the Italian Minister of Education is promoting a big campaign for training the teachers, and we work with some Italian schools that they offer this, they pay actually the training for the teachers. And so we work with them, and through them, we can offer for free the training. Or we work with some foundations, for example, that want to reach specific targets. Or in the last years, we have started to work a lot on EU funding. So we are part of different EU funded projects through which we can offer free training to teachers and educators. Then we have this, after training, the teachers are invited to do the workshops by themselves in the classroom, and we invite them to also to participate to these national challenges. And at the end, we have what in the marketing language they call the conversion. So when you reach your goal, and our goal actually is to reach students. And so we have been able to reach more than 70,000 students. As you can see, this cascading approach, you start from big numbers, and then you miss some people. This is something that is not is something that you cannot avoid. It's part of how the network dynamics work, actually, because network dynamics are just like this. You reach a lot of people, then you invite them to do something, and then actually you can never reach everybody because each person has different needs. And so you need always to work on reaching more teachers, and so that you can have more people becoming members, and then more people becoming members, more you can engage them, and more you can invite them to do a training. And only when they do a training, then are able to do also a workshop in their own classrooms. And so this is the approach, the process through which we work. And this approach has been also awarded by the EU Commission last year. We won the European Digital Skills Awards in the category Digital Skills for Education, and in particular the Digital Skills and Jobs platform from the EU was appreciating this our ability to build a program that is not only effective, as you have seen from data, but also scalable, so able to reach a lot of people. And yeah, we are member also of UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance and the Repubblica Digitale. And here you can find my email, but before this, maybe we want to discuss a little bit.
I added your website to the chat.
Sorry, Afonso, I cannot hear you very well.
Sorry.
Okay.
Mic was up. I added your website on the chat so that people can visit. If you want, you can also add your email there. But thank you so much for this presentation. It's a really cool project, I have to say, from the start when we met. So now we will go straight into the questions. A little discussion, which we have prepared. So you talked about a lot of information here, and Open the Box really covers lots of things from media data to AI literacy. It's very broad. So what are the biggest challenges, let's say, your educators, right, your team faces when teaching digital media literacy?
Yeah. When we started this program, we saw a lot of opportunities and also a lot of challenges, for sure. And there are a lot of opportunities now. For example, teachers are very, very interested in AI and generative AI. So we see a lot of interest. Whatever we do on the topic of AI, we have the most of interest. And not just interest, so in participating, but also the most engagement. We see that they do more training, they do more workshops, they do more activities in their own classrooms. So usually what's important, the big challenge that you need to find is to offer something to teachers and educators that really interest them. The same, for example, is with disinformation. Actually, what we offer them is not just help your student defend themselves from fake news and so on, but actually what we offer them is the ability to find and trust sources online. That is a big topic, for example, for educators, because usually most of them have integrated digital tools, digital processes in their activities, but usually both the teachers and the students have no idea, for example, how to deal with a website, a source they find online. And also with data, we see a lot of interest, even if with data there are some misconceptions, because sometimes they think that data literacy is more about mathematics, statistics, or Excel. So, for example, in the case of data literacy, we have it's not easy to make them understand that actually we're not going to use, for example, spreadsheets or sophisticated statistics or whatever, but still there are some prejudice. But what I think is the main challenge is to make clear that you are offering them something that is relevant for them, and also something that will help them. So that is mostly ready-made, but should be also very flexible, something that they could adapt very easily. So it's a bit difficult to find this balance, no? Because you need to give them something that has, for example, what they appreciate from the questionnaire we do with them. What they appreciate, for example, that we have this structure with the presentation, the quizzes, the activities, the evaluation, but still they want to have a lot of flexibility to change and adapt the our materials. Another point that is very important is also to be relevant on what's happening. So teachers are very, very interested about talking of what's happening now. For example, we have seen some community meetings that we have done on conflicts. They want to, for example, to talk about conflicts in the classrooms, but very often they don't have the skills, but also the knowledge to do this properly. So they want also to have updated content they could discuss with their students.
Okay. No, interesting, for sure, interesting. And I think a follow-up question on this would be, okay, so these are the challenges for educators, but how can we help them enhancing their data literacy skills to understand and better use AI tools, for example, in their classrooms?
Yeah, as I said before, on I go. Um, there's a lot of interest on AI. I was surprised by the reaction from teachers on generative AI, and this is because there is a huge gap on AI. And in Italy, for example, there was an issue with the government agency at the beginning of when ChatGPT arrived in Italy. This agency blocked blocked the ChatGPT because it was not compliant with the GDPR. And so a lot of teacher students still, for example, are worried that using ChatGPT is not legal, is not okay. There are some principles, for example, that are blocking any website ending with the .ai in their own schools. And this is really, really problematic because even if you find teachers like, I don't know, I see Pietro, that I know him very well, that are very eager to do these activities, that are very open to build new skills also among, for example, the colleagues, then you have to fight with the culture around you that is not very open. So what we see now is that on AI, for example, a lot of interest from teachers, and they start with the magic. So they like, for example, the possibility to use generative AI as tools for making their work better. But then actually what we work a lot with them is not just using generative AI just as tools, but also as something that can help them make their designing, for example, better educational activities. But still, yeah, these teachers, these pioneers that we have in our community, they have to fight with the context around them that it's not so open, is not so interested, and usually it's very, very scared.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, AI has changed everything for everyone, basically, and this is new worlds. And
Yeah.
um, specifically for teachers, I mean, it's quite a change. But what what misconceptions do you find that educators tend to fall on, let's say, about data literacy?
Yeah, the big misconception, I think, is this magic effect. The fact that they think that everything it's easy, no? You just go there, you just put a
Press the
prompt,
button. Yeah.
and then everything is done. And this is something weird because the first time, because first they are not, they think, no, this isn't, generative AI is not going to work like us. It's you machines are different from human, so they have this prejudice, for example, very strong. Then when they try, for example, the first time, they're like surprised. Oh, what is magic? I was not thinking that something like this was possible. And then there is another misconception, thinking that generative AI can do everything for
Yeah.
them, no? From designing the activities to assessing them and to everything, no? And when they see that this is not very often does happen, this, no, that not very often you can get what you want, there is some disappointment, no? That but so it's not true what I was thinking, that this could be useful for me. And the big misconception, I think, is on this opposition between natural intelligence and artificial intelligence, between human and machine, no? Thinking that there is like a competition between us and the machine, or that the machine is better than us. And it's very difficult to make them aware that what we are discussing here, especially in educational context, is not artificial intelligence versus natural or human intelligence, but actually it's a co-intelligence, no? There is a
Yeah,
book now
without the
from,
human input, there's nothing really.
yeah. And so the importance, for example, to understand how these systems work, how you need to interact with them. Usually I see some teachers, but also some students on this are the same. They just go on, for example, Microsoft Copilot, and they just enter a prompt that is like what they would do on Google or on Bing or on a search engine, no? So just a short sentence, and they don't understand, for example, the importance to have a proper prompt that could be understandable by the generative AI tools. This is a misconception because they think that this is like a magic machine, no? So like a search engine, I put an information, I get a result. And so making them understand that actually there is no archive, there is not a database with all the answers like for search engine, no? That they search on available content, that actually what these systems are doing are generating content. And so the matter is more about interacting, prompting well the inputs, and having more a conversation with these chatbots, no? And not just the magic. I think, yeah, it's the big misconception that we have now. I'm sure that the more we do training, the more they will use properly this tool, the more will change this misconception, but still is what we are seeing now.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on what your input is to see what
Exactly.
will influence a lot
Actually,
what you
yeah.
get out of it, right?
Yeah, what we say is that the answer that you get, it's a consequence of your question. If
Yes,
your question
exactly.
was not properly done, also the answer will not be good.
Exactly. And so, I mean, AI has a huge impact on all our lives. Why is it important for learners to be aware of these impacts? I mean, is it important, and why is it important?
Sorry, I
Um,
didn't get the first
why is
part.
it important for learners, for your learners, to be aware of the impact of AI in our daily lives? Why should we care, really?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a big question, and actually, it's first of all, when we are asked, for example, by teachers, by educators, why we need to do this. For example, I'm teaching, I don't know, language, something that is not related to AI. The first reason is because students are living in a world with AI, and so you cannot stay in this world. You cannot teach to them if you don't take in consideration that they are living in an AI world. And the main reason, I think, that at least at the beginning, for motivating teachers um, to upskill on AI and generative AI, is that if you will not upskill yourself, actually what will happen is that students will use this tool for um, just doing what they should not do. So, for example, for copy and pasting text, for doing the homeworks just on these systems. Because if you don't know how generative AI works, you will continue, for example, to do your activities as you have always done. But actually, the world is changing. Even if at school you are not using AI tools, actually students at home, they are using these tools. So it's not just a matter of preventing them from copying and pasting from ChatGPT or Copilot and so on, but it's more a matter of adapting yourself to this new context. And that means also adapting the way you do the lessons, the homeworks that you do. For example, is not important anymore if they get the result, for example, of an equation or a mathematics or something complicated. It's more important, for example, the process, and so through which that you can arrive to the result. And so, for example, we show them how you can use these generative AI tools not just for solving problems, for example, but especially for doing also other very important educational activities. For example, you can use these tools for tutoring students also in a personalized way. So each student could have like a personal tutor for exercising, for example, on specific topics, or you can use generative AI tools for mentoring them, for thinking about metacognition. So what is the process? What skills I need to do this? So it's like with the arrival of generative AI tools, we are also the knowledge is changing, no? How we manage and how schools and educational institutions should teach this. And so it's changing all the game, and you cannot stay off of this game. You cannot just, or you cannot just say, I want to defend myself by this. It's something that is happening and something that you need to integrate also in a critical way, because, for example, we are very critical of a lot of aspects of generative AI, but you cannot just say, no, I don't want to do this.
Indeed. I mean, it's a technological evolution has never been something you could just put aside and hide in the sand, so to speak. You either adapt to it or perish in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And what type of AI tools are being used in education, and how do they use data? What happens? I mean, because so this is one of the big questions. I mean, this especially GenAI, for example, it's a big black box. It seems because no,
Yeah.
the normal person doesn't understand what's happening when the information comes back. So, what are they doing exactly with
Yeah.
data?
So the tools that they use are, we try to be tool agnostic. So when we build our resources, our activities, we don't say just use, for example, ChatGPT or Google Gemini or whatever. We try to be, you can use all of this. There is no difference. This is difficult because, for example, during the last year, the main generative AI tools have implemented a lot of new features. So that, for example, it's not easy. But what, for example, we have decided from the beginning not to focus on the specific features of ChatGPT, of Google Gemini, of Copilot, because otherwise you can never stay behind all of this, but more thinking about how on general skills, no? So for example, how to build a good prompt, how to interact, how to make better, what different kind of activities you can do on different tools. But still, when we need to suggest them tools, usually teachers have no access to premium services, so they need free version of the tools. And for sure, we suggest them, for example, ChatGPT, Copilot, and Google Gemini, or also Perplexity. But for the textual chatbot, what I see is that one of the most used now are the free version of ChatGPT, so the 3.5 GPT version, or Microsoft's Copilot, because with Copilot they can actually can also do multimodal chat, no? So they can also have visual content or other kind of content. And as for the second, while for the visual tools, also it's complicated because now, for example, we don't have any more DALL-E. It's only integrated in the premium version of ChatGPT, and Copilot now offers this Copilot designer that can help them to do some visual. And also in this case, what the big challenge for us is to offer them a tool that is good but also free. accessible for free, and is not blocked, for example, in the school where they work, because, for example, sometimes you can find that ChatGPT is blocked because of that decision. And going on the data, and on the data side, we, as I said before, we are very we try to be to make teachers and educators very aware of the consequences of using these tools in the classroom. For example, usually we say to teachers in the middle school that in Italy are 11, 13 years students to not upload any content coming from the students in these generative AI tools, because there are some privacy issues like the GDPR. So you need to have you need to have the consent from the parents, for example, if you want to upload this like content from coming from the students for doing, for example, an assessment or whatever. And so, for example, in middle school, we say, okay, you can use this, but first you need to have the consent from the parents. And but beside the GDPR, we make them aware of all the problems that there are now on the transparency of this tool, for example. As you said, they are mostly black box. There are, luckily now the AI Act has introduced um, some new obligations for this platform, for example, to open the box, the black box they are in, but still now we are still living in the black box. We are still waiting for this transparency from the main Generative AI Act. And so what we do is actually to make them explore how biased are the data behind, for example, generative AI tools. Some of the best entries for this year challenge that we did on prompt generation were just some investigations done by students on, for example, the gender or race bias that you can find in generative AI tools. So yeah, on this topic of input data, we are very careful with them, and we try to make them also not so enthusiastic, and so to be conscious of these challenges.
Yeah, it's a complicated issue. I didn't know that in Italy you had that limitation, but it's interesting. Okay, and this, so we've already mentioned, or you mentioned, that AI can be used for mischief, as anything else. You can always use things for the right purpose or the wrong purpose. And one of the big questions that usually pops up around these topics nowadays is the ethical issue, the ethical side of things, right? So, from your perspective, from what you've learned so far, what would be the ethical implications that students should be aware of and be taught when using AI and other
Yeah.
engines?
Yeah, it's actually one of our first lesson is mostly based on this, or what are the ethical consideration that they should do while using generative AI tools. And one of the big challenge now for students is to make them aware of the hallucination problem, no? Because they have this, I don't know, this search engine um, mentality. So they go there, they find a result, and they think that everything should be true, no? Because has been drafted by this tool. And so making them think about this hallucination problem is very, for us, it's very important. And we do a lot of training, and we do also some activities, for example, on how to be able to fact check information that you find on generative AI tools. There are, for example, we have now a lot of examples of huge mistakes with, for example, bibliography. If you ask ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, whatever, to have some book suggestions on a specific topic, for sure, out of 10, 3 or 4 will be hallucinated results, books that don't exist. And same is with dates, or with, for example, creating, if you look, one day I was asking during a workshop for a specific article. Was saying, I remember that in 2021, the New York Times published an article on this topic, and could you help me find this? And the result that I got was really what I was looking for, no? Because they say, look, this is the title of the article, this is the author, and you can find it here. And actually, when I went on the New York Times, this article was not existing. So I think this big ethical issue of hallucination, especially because these systems now are built for always to be to try to make you happy, no? To give you always an answer to whatever you are asking. And because of this, for example, especially for a student who is looking, for example, for something very specific, and so could be very easy for them to be to have the wrong the wrong content. And now there are also some teachers, some very smart teachers that, for example, are doing some challenges among their students, not to see who is copying or not from generative AI tools. And for example, they know that on some specific topics, generative AI hallucinate always in that way. And so they ask, for example, students to do some activities. They go at home, maybe they use this generative AI, and when they go back at school, teachers expose them the fact that this is an hallucination. And actually, yeah, this is topic of hallucination for us is very important because we work a lot on disinformation also with data or with other media content. But still, there are other ethical consideration. We have seen the privacy, the biases that they need to take in consideration, and also the moral, what is the ethics that is behind the system. Not to, so we invite them to always ask, for example, when you have an answer from a generative AI tool, always try to figure out what is the ethics behind this answer. So not just if the answer is good or not, but also what is the vision of the world that they are promoting. Is that maybe that could not make sense in every culture, could be not taking consideration some minorities, for example. And so, yeah, it's actually we have these three main pillars. No, the one is the critical thinking, so be critical of what you get. The second one is the ethic, so be responsible of what you do. And the third pillar we work also a lot on the box is the creative part. We believe that the best way to be critical, to be responsible is actually to use these tools in a creative way. So use this tool for example, building new learning experiences, create new activities, and also for students for creating new ways of studying and being together.
Indeed. Yeah, complicated issues. This ethics question is always a bit tricky. But
Yeah.
okay, and you already mentioned, or you just mentioned the bias and privacy issues. How can we ensure, and how do you ensure in your activities with your students that AI literacy includes a discussion on bias, privacy, and security?
Yeah, actually, this is the first lesson that we do is about this. So it's not just let's try, the first lesson is just what are the opportunities now that we have with AI. So we show them beside generative AI, you know, from robotics to the food industry or policing, whatever, what are the different novelties that we are looking around us. And then we go for each of these opportunities, we also open the box and we try to see what are the ethical consequences of this technology. No, what we want to be actually our approach is we say always to our teachers, students, it's critically optimistic. We are very optimistic in integrating these technologies in the educational sector, but still the most important part is to be very, very critical. And so all our lessons have always these two dimensions, no? So being let's try, let's see what we can do, let's be creative, but also let's be always very critical.
It sounds like a safe approach for sure. Most things in life. Okay. And what about schools? How can schools prepare their students for a future where AI is pretty much everywhere, right? Soon it'll be on our watches. It's already on our phones, our cars. I don't know.
Yeah.
In our classrooms, of course. What can we do?
Yeah, first thing to do, I think, is to open a debate inside the universities and schools about how we want to adopt this revolution. And I've seen very few schools and universities, a lot of them are worried about what's happening, but very few of them are, for example, promoting guidelines for the use of generative AI in education, in our schools, for example, in our university. And I think that the first step to do for most of them could be just like this. Let's do a pact among teachers, principals, students on how we can integrate these technologies, but also let's understand also what are the limitations. So what could be the way that we want to do this. And I think what I fear more is this scenario where we are now, where everything is in the wild. No, there are some very good teachers that do some amazing activities. A lot of other teachers don't do anything, and so there are other divide that are opening in the schools. Why we should have a more horizontal approach, no? So I hope that in the next, I've seen now that some schools have started, also in Italy, there are some schools that have started to adopt these guidelines for using generative AIs responsibly in their schools. But still, there is a huge work to do on this because we need to scale also this in all the schools and all the universities. And I see everything very slow on this side. So I hope that in the next years, more consciousness about this.
Yeah,
Not just say I want to adopt AI. I want to adopt AI in a proper way. So let's discuss about how to do this.
the useful way. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying before about the evolution. I mean, you cannot really, it seems you cannot escape this trend, right? It's here to stay. Okay, and we already talked a little bit about risks and ethical issues and etc. But what do you see as the potential risks and drawbacks of relying too much on this technology, which is certainly a big worry for in the educational field? I mean, um,
Yeah,
what are the dangers?
the dangers. Okay, we already talked about a lot of dangers about biases,
Yeah.
hallucinations, and privacy, and so all most of these dangers. And then also what we were saying before, the thinking that everything can be done very quickly, very easily, without any of your involvement, no? So thinking that just I do a prompt and they do everything for me. I think that this is the less interesting part of generative AI. It's also something that I think we will go very quickly, will become very odd, for example, to use technologies just for this. And why it's more interesting, the way we can interact. So how we can, for example, augment the way we do, we teach, we study. And on this side, I'm very, very excited because I think that a new world is opening, and it's something that will also make will make everything more competitive, I think, for example, no, especially in the work, in the job market, or but also in education, actually, no, because you can see now if you can draft a scientific paper in just one day, will be more difficult, for example, to do relevant and very good scientific papers. So it's not just that everything is getting easier. Actually, I think it's the opposite. What we will go through is that everything will become more demanding, will become more with more human intervention and intelligence. So it's not just using them as for, say, an assistant, but more as I like now it's a brand, the co-pilot
Mhm.
metaphor, no? So something that is helping us, like in the when we drive with the automatic cars, or
Exactly.
or the flight, yeah, on the planes.
GPS, let's say. Yeah, I mean,
GPS,
it's
exactly.
similar. I still remember when Wikipedia came on the scene, was something similar. Suddenly you had a place where you could get information about everything. It was easy to copy, and yeah, it's a bit of the same discussion, just faster now, easier.
Yeah.
Okay, and okay, and how do you foresee then, let's say, the evolution of AI, specifically not Gen AI, but AI in education in the next decade?
Yeah, next decade maybe is too much for me
Yes.
to envision, but yeah, for sure. Now we have these general tools, where you go and do something, but I'm sure that the integration of AI capabilities in software that we already use, for example, will be the uh, next big step in AI, and especially in education. So schools are already using a lot of digital tools, and we will see more and more AI capabilities in these tools. I do just an example. A lot of teachers use Canva, that is the
Mhm.
visual designer tool. And now a lot of teachers, for example, are starting to use the AI capabilities, starting from Canva, for example, not going on Midjourney or ChatGPT or Copilot. So this will be an opportunity, I think, because we will lower the barriers for entering in this AI world. And so more and more digital tools will integrate these AI capabilities. At Data Ninja, we are also investigating, for example, how we can integrate these AI capabilities in our training programs or in the educational kits that we share with teachers. For example, you see this, how you could adapt this to this topic. So integrating an AI agent that could help teachers to do this. But still, I think the only thing that I fear in this scenario of AI everywhere is that we have not to forget this the importance of a good approach to these technologies, because what the AI marketing now is selling us is the magic, everything it's easy to do, just
Yeah.
click and you will have the slides, you will have the pictures and everything. But actually, what I see as the main danger is that we have something that is more and more standardized, so more homogeneous with not so much differences. And that's why I think that we need to work on to make sure that this adoption of tool comes together with a proper training of teachers and educators. And this is actually, the biggest challenge that we have now in the educational sector, because if we are able to reach a big number of trainers and teachers and educators, I think everything will be easier for also joining the new generations and so on.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicola. Okay. Well, we've reached the end of our little conversation. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Uh, we are a little bit late on the time, but since no
Yeah,
one's in a rush to leave, and if you're okay, Nicola, maybe we can see if you have any questions. I'm gonna
yeah.
check the chat because I haven't checked it yet before. We have here a comment from Pietro. Thank you, Pietro. No, and then Arturo says, I'm making a free workshop for electrical engineering teacher at at the public university in Peru. The teachers show little interest in new technologies like generative AI and machine learning. What can I do to promote digital competencies among them? Oui. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
it's a
have an answer for
very
that?
it's a very great question. I don't have an answer specific on engineering or electrical engineering because I come from a different field. I can just share with you, Arturo, my experience, for example, with data, with AI. Actually, what we have done for making this more engaging and interesting is starting from what they are worrying about, what they are looking for, and try to give them the priority to this. Not just starting from an approach, I want to teach you something, But so, for example, starting from listening to them. For example, last year, before launching the new learning path on AI, we had several conversations, community meetings with our teachers, and we discussed with them we were seeing how they were using. So before offering them a course on AI, we were seeing how they were using, how they were pioneering this, what were the questions. And on the basis of this, we were able to offer something that was more relevant for them. So yeah, I would suggest you to reverse a little bit the process. So opening up to what could be their interest, for example, in machine learning or in generative AI. And then make at the first level, make things very, very easy with low technological barrier. We always try to have also no technology. So also if this could be a solution for you, I know that it's not easy to talk about AI without using technology, but you can do this because there are a lot, actually, there are a lot of interesting resources, for example. We do this, for example, with data. We can talk about data without opening a spreadsheet. You can, for example, collect post-its on the wall, or you can have a ballots where people vote and you can collect data. So maybe try to make things not so tech, because that's something that usually scares a lot. Also, the idea of, oh, I need to learn a new tool scares a lot. So better starting from, yeah, from the core concept and maybe making them more easy, and then at the end going on the tool, and then yeah, doing this part, because that can be I see this especially with data, that usually the tools, the fact that they cannot use, for example, Excel or the sheets, it's a big barrier for them. But still, we teach them that you can do data literacy even if you have never opened a spreadsheet. So it's an important message that you can give to your teachers.
Yeah. And absolutely. And I think I would add that also maybe understand why they don't seem to. So maybe there's a barrier. Are they afraid? I don't know. What are the barriers really? So try to talk to them and see why
The yeah, the big barrier
why are
is
you
that,
afraid?
yeah, well, actually, the big barrier is that they have, I don't know in Peru, how is the situation with teachers, but in Europe, usually they don't have time.
Mm,
They have a lot of pressure of things to do. And so if they have to do, for example, a training experience, they want to be sure that it's something very, very relevant for them, something that will help them. So this is a big barrier, no? If you say that, if you tell them, oh, you need to learn a new tool, it's something that will scare them, because they'll
mm,
say, oh, I will not be able to do this. I already cannot use very well the tools that I already use. So it's better to shift on a different topic. So I'm not teaching you how to use ChatGPT. I'm teaching you why generative AI is important and how you can adapt this in your classroom, even if you don't want to use ChatGPT. So it's more about shifting the focus on what's more relevant for them and not putting much pressure, especially on the tech side or on the time side, on the time that you are demanding to them.
yeah. And on that, Nicola, I think a good follow-up question would be, I saw that your website is mostly in Italian. Are you thinking about going to other
Translate.
languages, Spanish, for
Yeah,
example?
sure. Not Spanish, but we are working on an English version, because now
Okay.
we are involved in several EU-based project.
Yeah.
Not, yeah, we have also some resources in Spanish, because we have worked with some other partners in both in Spain and Portugal. So
Okay.
maybe you will be, yeah, the idea is to share in the next months because now you find everything in Italian, but we
Mm.
have already during the last years, we have worked also on translating and localizing some resources in other languages. So for sure, in the next 4 or 5 months, you will find
Okay. So maybe
some
Arturo,
resources in your language. Yeah.
you can get in touch with Nicola with his website. There might be something there that could be interesting. I would also like to add, if you want, just to, still on Arturo's question, if you want, as I said at the beginning, all digital. So this webinar was promoted, let's say, in the context of two projects: All Digital Academy and GenAI Edu. There's a website. There's a link on the chat. And I can post it again. And here you will find free access, free MOOCs. One of them is on GenAI specifically. So the GenAI Edu is on GenAI. You can, if you want, you can use that content. It's you just need to register. Okay. Well, I don't think we have any more questions.
Yeah, I see Pietro. Yes.
Pietro, what is it?
Pietro.
Sorry, what? I think I jumped.
Yeah, actually, it was because he was
it was a comment.
He is actually one of our main teachers, and
okay.
I was sharing his experience. Actually, yeah, we are very happy to have feedback like this by Pietro, because our main concern while beginning this new project, because we were always working in other contexts, so while working with schools, our main concern was how teachers would react. And so when we see that teachers are like Pietro, okay, is very smart, is very techy, and is not the average teacher that you have, but still is yeah, it's a very especially also the feedback, and we try always to integrate this feedback in our materials, because it's very important, as I said also to Arturo. And yeah, Arturo, as I said, it's normal that you cannot have all the people interested, especially if you, I don't know, you offer something that is not mandatory. As I showed you before, you need to have a big starting number of teachers, and then you will lose most of them actually. And this is normal in our experience. So the only way is to have, to reach more people, so that you are sure that, but still, if you have 9 teachers, that means that you are doing a good work with them. So, and only 2 of 9, sorry, I was not reading, or but it's something you need to consider, that we see that we invite 10, as I 10 join us, only 5 do the training, and people doing the training, only 3 will do a workshop. So it's something that is for us, it's normal now.
It's the same in our experience also with our webinars. Webinars and courses.
Also today we had more than 50 people, and just 1/3 was coming here.
The webinar mathematics. There's always more people registered than can. It's normal. Okay, thank you so much. You're very welcome, Arturo. Reach out if you want to reach out to Nicola or myself, and thank you so much to Nicola in the first place, and everyone else who attended. I hope you find it interesting. Have a good day. The recording of the session, as I said in the beginning, will be on our website, so you can revisit. And that's it. Have a good afternoon, or end of the afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.